I have two fantastic co-hosts of this webinar. Anna Allen is the e-resources librarian at the State Library of North Carolina, and she will cover how she has used Summon in her work and some tips and tricks that she's found helpful. And Taylor Shafkis is the senior customer consultant at Clarivate and has been our main contact for Summon support and training over the years. So Anna will start things off and cover key features, um, search scopes, custom panels, and using the best bets. And then Taylor will cover Summon's newest features, marketing Summon to your community, staff training strategies, general best practices, and some new features for staff support. And then I'll just share kind of generally NC Live support for Summon libraries and some of the resources that we have on our website. So with that, Anna will start things off.
Hello, thank you, Devin. All right, so as mentioned, I'm the electronic resources librarian at the State Library. So Summon is our discovery layer, but we also use Evergreen as our ILS and main OPAC system. And Summon's really great because it works well with Evergreen, and Evergreen feeds directly into Summon. So the two are integrated. This presentation is kind of similar to one that was held back in November, also by NC Live. And so mostly what I'm going to be talking about are some features in the back end for Summon administrators to make or to change that might help you with both the marketing and improving discovery at your library. So the first thing I want to talk about is the administration console. This is where everything is done. If you log into the Ex Libris Client Center, the administration console is where you make all of your changes. And it can be found on the right-hand side under Administer Your Products. And one of your products, of course, would be Summon. And I also want to point out that there's two different instances of this administration console. There's a regular and a preview. And the preview environment is a really great tool because it's basically a sandbox for you to play with changes. And I recommend that you go in there and you bookmark that link of the preview environment and where the preview output lives, because that way, when you're making changes and playing around, you can switch back and forth, see what you like, see what you don't like, and then make those changes later. Because Summon takes a few minutes sometimes for those settings to load properly. And so if you want to not quite commit to a change yet, the preview environment is a great place to do it. Next slide, please. So throughout this presentation, just for ease, I have included screenshots. Each of these images, they have alt text and captions. And of course, the notes in the slides will be available post-presentation. So right here, we have the header of the administration console, and these are the main menu items, and I will reference them throughout the presentation to tell you where you can find certain features. And then on the bottom row there, on the very right, on the right-hand corner at the very top, where you log in, it says like, hello, this is who signed in, signed out. There's a little link and it says preview environment. And that is what you click to go to the preview version of the administration console. I have also circled a little question mark that appears below the bar there. If you click on that little question mark, it will take you directly to the Summon product documentation page, and that will be linked later. But this product documentation is key. It tells you what everything is, what kind of changes you can make to them. And so if you are the sole administrator like I am of Summon, or you're really new to it, going to that product documentation can be really, really helpful. And then, of course, after you've moved to the preview environment, under the main Summon editor logo, it will say preview in red so that you know which side you're in and just to make sure you're not making changes in the real environment before you're ready. Next slide, please. So this one seems really easy, but I think one of the first things I did when I started playing around in Summon in this role is playing with the look and feel, mostly because it's a really easy first step and it creates unity between all of your tools. So for us at the State Library, we have several different third-party tools. So again, Evergreen is our catalog, Summon is our discovery layer, And then we do have an A to Z list through SpringShare. And so by having them all have the same kind of colors, font, logos, and branding, it creates that unity and it represents that all of your tools are yours. And of course, it's really easy to change colors because once you see that the color has changed, then you kind of know, okay, this is how someone makes changes in real time. Like that was easy, or, I didn't like what that looked like. So I highly recommend working with the look and feel first. Summon 2.0 is a feature that Summon has now where you can directly import CSS and JavaScript. And so if you're at a university, for example, where maybe you have a web development librarian, this would be a great place to integrate your custom CSS and branding or JavaScript if you have some sort of other library integration that you need into Summon, if you're using Summon as your main sort of OPAC. But this again will depend on every library, and some libraries don't have as much ability, shall we say, to make some of these development changes. Next slide, please. So these are just some screenshots from our summon instance. I will say ours is very plain, but that's not a bad thing. But you can definitely see that the colors are consistent with the brand that we have. The logo links to our website. And then in the upper right-hand corner, you can customize those icons and what they link to. And all of these resources are linked so that we increase discovery and make it easier for the patron so that they don't have to leave the window. For example, I recently fixed the chat icon, which is the second one to the left on that bottom image. When you click on it, it directly opens one of our library help windows. So if someone needs help from a librarian, they can do that without ever leaving the summon window, which can be really, really helpful. Next slide. So the next feature I want to talk about is search scopes. We got a couple questions about this, and this was also mentioned in the last webinar about Summon. And I'd like to mention it because we use it, and I think it can be really helpful for some communities. It's very similar to the way that facets work. So when you do a query, you can search and filter by subject, location, author, etc., etc. And a search scope is mostly meant to kind of represent that in a pre-saved setting. And so for us, the way that we have used it is we have a government and heritage library search scope because that is our public arm of the state library. But then also by having that search scope, we can filter out results from some of our state agency libraries, some of which those collections are not available to the public, and therefore we don't necessarily want to promote them per se. Next slide, please. So this is a screenshot of the search scope that we have. As I said, again, the top image shows you what it looks like. It's just a drop down on the search bar. And so for us, the only ones that we have is just to search all throughout Summon or just search the Government and Heritage Library. And then the bottom image is representing what the add new scope looks like. And all it is it asks you to give it a name. And then it's basically just the advanced search box, and then you treat it like you were doing a search, and then you save it, and then next time you go to do a search, that scope will pop up. We did get a question before this webinar about audiences, especially for K through 12. So I think there's a couple ways to approach this. Not all facets are available at the beginning search, like the main search page. Some of them have to be done post search, and you also can't pre-populate the search box with text. So it might be kind of difficult to sort of separate K-12 content unless they were all tagged with similar subjects, for example, or if you, for some reason, were able to attribute them to a separate library location because you can't pre-populate that search box. And of course, a lot of it depends on your MARC records as well. So if you don't have a general subject tagged as like kids or teen or whatever, then sometimes those results might not show because that subject just doesn't exist. And on that same note, Summon has a really great way for you to map your records to the way that you want them to. There is a mapping header at the top of the administration console, and that is exactly where you can see which mark fields from your catalog map directly to which fields in Summon. And so if you're not getting quite the results you want, or they're not looking the way that you think they would when you search in Summon, especially if you're new to Summon or your library has just started using it, then perhaps you can think about, well, how are my subjects being mapped into Summon? Or perhaps maybe some of our records are of lower quality, and maybe that's why these subjects are not appearing. So, for example, we have a digital collection called Frontier Life. And when we decided to load those records, we just added a series statement through the entire collection, just called Frontier Life. So if I know that if I search those keywords, then that entire collection will appear, even if the title of that particular item in the collection doesn't have the words Frontier Life, because I know that subject statement or that uh, series statement or that subject term is always going to be in that MARC record. Next slide. So the next thing I want to talk about are custom panel sections. So these are collapsible panes that appears on search result pages. So ours personally appears on the right-hand side, and this is a great tool to use for general information, and it's found under the Pages tab. Next slide. So this is what ours looks like at the state library. So again, as I said, Government and Heritage Library, otherwise known as GHL, that is our public-facing arm of the library. So for us, we have decided to put our library hours, our classic catalog, and a new to the library panel on our custom sections, mostly because we know that those are questions we get quite a lot. And so we want them to be on the forefront of the page and also always visible. But of course, if someone decides like they don't want to see that information, that little arrow at the very top circled in red, you can totally collapse that pane. So this is a really great place to put customized information, or again, if you're constantly getting questions about your library hours, just putting that in the custom panel ensures that whenever they do their first search, that information pops up. And so this has been really great because it's giving folks really important information on the forefront, but also it's not necessarily blocking anything. Next slide. And so this is just a continuation. I wanted to show folks what it looks like to set them up. So all it is just a blank text box, and you can call it whatever you want. So if you want anything really fancy in there, like links, or if you really need it to convey some really complex information, you can definitely do that. So very, very easy to set up. Next slide. The last thing I want to talk about is best bets. So this is a feature found under the Recommender tab, and it's very similar in structure to a custom panel. And the reason why I showed you how to build custom panels in the last slide is because best bets are the same way. It's just an empty text box. So really easy to set up. You just need a title, body. The styling is done for you automatically in Summon, and it's great. But the difference between best bets and the panel is that this appears as a call out above the search results as opposed to on the right-hand pane. And best bets are only triggered when a specific tag or a specific keyword is used in the search query. So I also want to mention, I won't discuss it in this presentation, but the Recommender tab, I highly recommend, of course, that you go check that out because it also has the database recommender and SpringShare integration. So all three of those features under the Recommender tab has been really helpful for us. But right now I'm just going to talk about best bets. Next slide, please. So this is the example of the best bets. The top part is what the best bet looks like as it appears to users. And then the bottom part is what it looks like in the backend after you've created it. And you can add or edit tags. So if you decide, like after you've created it, if some of the tags are irrelevant or they change over time, totally easy to edit them as you need. And so one thing I want to point out about best bets is that it's really important to kind of know your audience here. The reason why we have a Libby best bet is because although we are a public library, we don't have Libby, we do not have Overdrive, and sometimes people can get us confused with our local public library system. And so having that best bet allows us to kind of convey that information whenever someone searches for it and it being right there. Because obviously, if you were to search for Libby, no results would come up. And so this is kind of a way to mitigate those common FAQ type questions. And so maybe another question you might ask is there a resource that's not included in Summon, perhaps at the title level, but you need to link to it? Are there any items that would yield a no result search, such as Libby? That's what best bets are for. And again, as I mentioned in the last slide, the database recommender also kind of plays into here. And of course, I won't talk about it in this presentation, but the database recommender, it looks a lot like a best bet. And so if someone were to type in ProQuest, for example, you would get that similar iconography as you would with the best bet, but it would just say like, are you looking for ProQuest? And it would link directly to the database instead of giving you title level results. Next slide. All right. I know I have totally just spit so many words at you very quickly. But the last thing I kind of want to discuss is that Summon is a very, very mighty beast. I know going into this presentation that some libraries uh, in this webinar today are very new to Summon. And I just want to emphasize that small changes can make a big impact. And if you're the only administrator of Summon like I am, you can definitely make very tangible customizations that will make a difference, even if you don't have a lot of web development experience. Even just changing the colors, those best bets, custom panels have really, really made a difference. Even just the homepage, the settings and configuration, such as adding your logo, your links, your library help chat window, those little things make such a difference and they take less than 5 minutes to add. I would also, again, recommend to use the preview environment because that way you can make changes, especially for things you don't quite understand or maybe you're not able to visualize until you make those changes. So the preview environment is really, really good to make sure you're making changes when you're ready for them, we'll say. And then the last thing, again, I want to bring up is the Ex Libris Knowledge Center. It has official documentation, best practices, training, and community resources, and that will be linked in the notes. But the product documentation has been really, really helpful for me to read exactly what settings I'm changing, what each of the options in the settings mean, and maybe help determine what kind of changes would make best for our instance of Summon. So that's all I have. So I will pass it over to Taylor for her to discuss Summon on her side.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. And that's actually a perfect segue. A lot of you are again just coming out of implementation, and I wanted to also provide you some resources that are really, really, really important to bookmark as you're first getting started. So Anna mentioned, our Knowledge Center. There's lots of great articles there. But we do specifically have a Summon LibGuide. Our Summon LibGuide provides a centralized location for all Summon related resources. So, this is going to be your go to if you ever need to navigate anything Summon related. Our LibGuide really makes it easier for you to find help, find information, find training, find where the webinars are being hosted, signing up for them, etc. also pointing to the support center and some helpful guides. So I would definitely recommend having the Sub and Lib guide as an internal resource that is, your go-to when it comes to summon. Another really nice way to tap into the Summon community if you're just starting out is to join the Summon listserv. So the listserv is a email. You sign up for the listserv and you get emails from other Summon customers. You also get emails from Summon Product Management, and it's an excellent way to jump in, ask specific questions for your library, and then members of the Summon community, aka other libraries, can respond and help and troubleshoot things for you. So if you are trying to maybe create something like a custom panel and you wanted to get some feedback from other libraries on how they're utilizing custom panels, you can send out a message to the Summon listserv. And our community is really active, very friendly. So it's a nice place to join. And you can also see what other people are asking about. So it's a great way to just kind of learn as you're starting to immerse yourself into the Summon world and get to know some of the language we use on a day to day. So yes, like the Summon listserv, you can connect with Summon users, share experiences, tips, best practices with your community members, but also receive notifications about new enhancements, release information, and content updates. So if you're not going to participate, I would definitely say still join so you can stay up to date with all the newest release features and all the cool stuff that we are coming out with, year after year, term after term. Next up, I just want to touch on our quarterly release schedule. So we have webinars that come out once a quarter that showcase new features, enhancements and fixes, bug fixes, whatever it might be. And I would say you definitely want to attend these quarterly webinars and build them into your Summon schedule, so to speak. This is going to keep your Summon in tip-top shape, making sure everything's optimized for your patrons. You're taking advantage of the latest and greatest. So when you're following this quarterly release schedule, you can, obviously I've embedded some links here, but it's also in your Summon Lib guide. So if you're ever wondering, how do I get to the webinar schedule? It's in the Lib guide. But this way, yeah, you know about what's coming up, allowing for better planning and integration in your library. And it also provides a structured timeline for users, to anticipate and prepare for changes. We touched on this before. Actually talking, I'll talk about it in the next slide, not to confuse us. But then, of course, another really paramount place is support, right? With someone in any discovery system and within the library, sometimes you'll run into things like broken links. When you have an issue, what we say is definitely go and submit a support ticket, and they will be able to help. So they can help with issue resolution, so getting help with specific problems or even questions directly from the support team, but also tracking project progress. So, you can utilize your support tickets. They provide a clear record of the issue, its resolution, ensuring that nothing's falling through the cracks. And of course, improve service. So, your feedback from these support tickets can also help improve Summons functionality and user experience. So, we definitely encourage opening tickets whenever you run into technical issues. Some of the things and some of the examples of technical issues, things you might run into are, search functionality. Maybe there's a problem with the search results display not displaying correctly or missing items. They can help with that. Access issues, performance problems, if there's slow loading times. If you're on the listserv, sometimes you'll see, slow loading time. Are you guys seeing this? Sometimes it's a problem with the system, right? And we just need support to get on it. But that's where you can report that. Switching kind of gears, also content updates. So when you're updating your holdings, if there's an issue with an automatic holdings update not reflecting correctly, that's a good way support ticket. or metadata corrections, etc. So definitely use support. Within the support system, there is, also user support. So there's training and documentation, um, you know, etc. So that's the support ticket. Support, I will say, when you are first joining, you will need to create a support ticket account. Support portal account, I should say. Because if you try and just go and submit a ticket, it necessarily doesn't have the summon drop down sometimes. So you need to create an account, identify that you are a summon user, and then you should see all the right drop downs in order to submit these cases. Moving on to the Summon Ideas Exchange. This is an excellent place for you to send your ideas out to the ether and actually influence Summon's development plans for the year. So you can submit new ideas for new features or improvements, and you can also vote on others' suggestions. And this is really a community-driven enhancement exchange. So ideas with the most support are considered for inclusion in our yearly roadmap, ensuring that Summon evolves based on user needs. Really nice. At the end of the year, we have a voting process as well. So, what you put in there can directly influence the roadmap. And, next year you might just check and one of your ideas is coming to fruition. So, we really value community with the Summon customer base, and definitely check it out. And if not submitting one, vote on your other favorites. So, all in all, these are definitely resources to bookmark. Get familiar with them as they will come up a lot. Next slide, please. Yes, and so I touched on our Summon quarterly release schedule. Here, it's pretty much the same per year. We do one in February, we have one in May, we have one in August, and then again in November. So those are the release dates for this year. I do want to call out that we do have a window for previewing release features. So the preview window opens about 2 weeks earlier from the release date. And that's where you can actually go in and test new features without them, impacting your live summon site. So you can get in 2 weeks early, test out new functionality, and that way you can just get a jump on, hey, does this sound right for my library? Or also you can come to our webinars with questions. So just wanted to put there and highlight that there is a 2-week preview before the release actually goes live. Next slide. Great. So now we're going to get in the fun stuff. So I'm going to highlight some new features this year that we came out with for Summon, including the Research Assistant, integration with Rapido, mixed panel integration, and a few others. So next slide, Devin. Perfect. So the Summon Research Assistant is our AI help, AI-powered feature that gives you, I should say, patrons, quick, easy to understand summaries right from your trusted library resources. So it is an AI tool. There's no jargon, there's no rabbit holes. It just pulls smart and reliable overviews straight from the Central Discovery Index, our CDI. So the information's solid, it's pulling from the index. This is a nice tool to, you can use it to get AI powered summaries from trusted library resources. So patrons can actually go ahead. It's just like other AI search tools where you can put in an open-ended question or concern, or hey, I'm looking for XYZ. Can you help me find it? And then the query will run, and information will be provided to your patron, helpful information, so they can explore additionally. And one of the other cool features with the Summon Research Assistant is it gives like deeper insights and smarter research. So It can give like a quick overview. It can help you explore more and then also research smarter and save some time. This is also multilingual, so it's for everyone. It supports multilingual queries and intuitive exploration. And, if you want to activate this at your institution, this definitely boosts engagement with someone. We've seen that, and also resource visibility. So if you actually wanted to go and enable this, it's actually really quick and easy. A lot of these, we've talked about the admin console, the Summit administration console. It'll be your best friend when it comes to activating features and customizing. So you'll just go toggle to your, Summit admin console, and the research assistant tab, you will just click, enable. You'll set it to on, and you're good to go. Typically, it takes about 5 minutes for it to be activated. So nice, simple switch, and yeah, that's it for the Summon Research Assistant. Next slide, please. Great. And so while the research assistant helps users understand what they're looking at, Summon's integration with Rapido takes it a step further, making it easier to actually get what they need. So with this integration, Summon becomes more than just a discovery tool. It becomes a direct gateway to delivery. So now your users can request articles, book chapters from Rapido libraries right from the search results, which of course in turn means broader access to materials beyond your local holdings, fewer clicks, faster turnaround times for ILL requests. Your users, yeah, like I mentioned, can request articles and books, and then they can also expand the universe of discoverable and requestable content beyond your library holdings, fewer clicks, and also it promotes resource sharing efficiency and promotes collaboration across Rapido participating institutions. So if you have Rapido ILL at your institution, I would definitely take a look at this and enable if it works for your workflows. So how to enable, very similar, navigate to the admin console, configure delivery options via the ILL settings. Slide, please. Great. And I want to spend some time here because although the carousel widget is not necessarily new, we've had some updates to it, which is really nice. So the carousel widget is like, well, first off, connecting it to Rapido. Now that your users can like easily request what they need, now we can highlight what you want them to see. So like new books, themed collections, or faculty publications, all using the Summon Carousel widget. So the widget is a simple but really powerful way to spotlight specific content right on your library's homepage or embedded in your libguides, etc. Whether it's new arrivals, themed collections, or course materials, you can tailor it to highlight exactly what you want your users to see, and it automatically updates based on your filters. Some key features with the carousel widget, dynamic content. So it's automatically updating as new records match your criteria or match your criteria are added to the catalog. Custom filters. So once you set up your widget, you'll use custom filters to do that. So like subject filters, date facets, and other conditions to refine what appears in the carousel. So it can be very targeted. With the visual display, it's really nice and engaging. It really, holds the eye there. Because it's really, lots of photos. But it presents results in a rotating image rich format to attract user attention. And also flexible integration. So like I mentioned before, it can be embedded on any web page, including your course guides, portals, or CMS platforms. So lots of great functionality here. Some example use cases for a carousel widget. When you're setting it up, you can have it display new books added in the last 7 days on a specific topic. You could also highlight faculty publications, special collections, or even event-related materials, or even, promoting seasonal reading lists. So I mentioned some recent updates. We did improve support for custom JavaScript and CSS. And also, you can open the search within a journal function in a new tab. And we also improved the book review identification. So go ahead and next slide. Perfect. So now we're aware of the functionality. Setting up a carousel widget is really quick and straightforward. We've made it really nice within Summon. I'm going to demo it in a little bit, but this is the path you will take to build and customize your Summon carousel. So you'll want to first access the widget builder. You'll go to, your summon site. So you'll go to this link here. You'll actually replace your library domain with your actual domain. And once you're there at your summon search page, you can then select the widget type. So choose carousel. You'll see there's other options. I won't go in them today, but go ahead, feel free to explore them. And then you can configure search parameters. So, do you want to see new books within the last 7 days? Is it highlighting a special collection? So you'll actually add those filters to define what content appears in the carousel. From there, you can customize the widget. So customize its appearance, title, description, number of items to display, behavior, styling options, etc. And then, of course, last but not least, you want to generate the code. Once you're satisfied, the builder will generate it for you, and you'll want to embed it. So the next step, copy this code, paste it into your website, LibGuide, or CMS, wherever you want the carousel to appear. And the pane contains the HTML code that you will use on any other web page to display your search box or widget. And of course, then you paste it into that web page. So, to do that briefly, you'd open the HTML editor for your web page, LibGuide, or CMS, and you would just paste the copied code where you want the carousel to appear. Of course, save, publish the page. If you need, help, tap someone on the shoulder. If you're not sure where this should be posted, whoever, I would tap in some help there. But really, some tips for success, make sure your site that you're posting it in allows embedding of external scripts or iframes. And if you're using a CMS like WordPress or LibGuides, use the HTML block/widget feature. And of course, last tip is to test the widget before going live. Okay, so now I want to show you quickly what that looks like since it's really hard to conceptualize. So Devin, I am going to share my screen. Bear with me. Share. All right. Are you able to see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
Yep, looks good. Okay, great. Okay, so here we are at our demo summon. Like I said, you would navigate to yours, and it's super easy. You'll find the hamburger menu right here. You'll click on it and you will see the widget builder. All right, looks very blank right now, but here's our first step. So select widget type. We are going to do a carousel. And it takes a second to load, but it'll show you a preview. Since we haven't defined any of the parameters, it just looks, I think it's our general search results with no filters on there yet. So next step is search. This is where you will add what you want your carousel widget to show. So Today I'm going to be showing content. I want to build my carousel widget to have books and ebooks that are new records within the last 30 days and are on the topic of history. So what I'll do, it's just like doing a search. I'll go down. I know I want a book and ebook. So I will click this filter. And my summon's acting a little slow today, so just bear with me. All right, and now I know I would like to show only content that has been added in the last 30 days. So you might think publication date, but that only goes like yearly. New records is where you'll want to go. You'll see the option for last 7 days, last 30 days, last 90 days. I would like it to show last 30 days worth of content. And then I would like it to be for my history class. So if I go down here to discipline, let's see, history. Okay, well, let's do biology instead. So that's the parameters I'd like my widget to have. Once it's done loading, so you can see everything you've selected here. If you don't like anything, you can just take it out, but I think, okay, that's good, great. You come over back to customize the widget and look, see, it's already editing. It's edited the carousel. You can see biology books that have been added in the last 30 days. So here's where you can customize things a bit, title size, font size. I think the best and the most customization, I mean, I would definitely do this part. So the title text, for me, I guess I'll just pick, new biology books. And then you just go ahead and copy the code. So this is what it's configured for you. This is what it will look like. You'll copy this code, and that's where you would go ahead and paste it into your website, LibGuide, whatever it is, wherever you'd want that carousel to be embedded. And I do want to point out that as I was talking through this, I've had customers ask, can you edit a widget once it's created? Currently, these widgets cannot be edited directly once they're created. So if you want to change the content, filters, or appearance of an existing carousel, you'll just need to come back and create a new carousel widget. You would just build it again, recreate the widget with your desired changes, generate and embed the new code, and replace the old widget on your website or LibGuide with the new one. So the reason we do this is because this widget builder generates a static embed code based on the configuration at the time of creation. So while it will it'll update automatically with new content based on the filters you put in, there's no dynamic dashboard to edit existing widgets after they've been deployed. So if you frequently want to update your carousels, consider keeping a record of your configurations, search terms, filters, so you can easily recreate them and tweak them later. And that's it for the demo portion, Devin. If you want to go back to the PowerPoint. All right, great. Perfect. So now let's talk about a few different use cases here. As you're thinking about it, we had some questions come in of like, I'm from a public library. What are some tips to marketing, our summon search? This is a great way, right? So you can embed a carousel widget into your website, your public library website, newsletter, like whatever it is, you can promote it there. So some use cases that we see that are very popular: promoting new articles or new arrivals, so displaying newly acquired books, ebooks, journals to keep users informed about those latest additions to the library, support course or subject guides, feature publications authored by faculty members or student theses to promote institutional scholarship. You can curate content around events, holidays, or even awareness months such as Women's History Month, Earth Day. You can also display recent news articles or scholarly commentary on trending topics or global issues, and also promote underused resources. So draw attention to lesser known databases or collections that may be valuable but are not widely used. And last but not least, support digital exhibits. So integrate with digital exhibits or archives and showcase digitized materials. So some best practices with this: keep each carousel focus and define your clear purpose. Avoid mixing unrelated content. You can use descriptive titles for your patrons to make it easy to understand what this is. You can craft targeted search queries, so using those precise filters, and then embed strategically. So place these carousels where users are most likely to engage with them, on home pages, subject guides, or course pages. And then also, just to point out, these are great. You can also align carousels with your broader library initiatives. So, promoting open access, supporting DEI efforts, or even highlighting institutional research. Next slide. All right, so with Mixpanel, this is a upcoming feature, so it's coming up in the second half of the year. I won't go deep dive into this, but this Mixpanel integration will allow you to track your summon patrons throughout the life cycle, like how they navigate to summon, where do they go next on the page, where are they dropping off. So it's a build on our out of the box reports, and it really provides data driven decision making. And if you see a drop off here, okay, let's tweak our custom panel or let's add something. So all that to say, join us on their webinar on July 29th. We'll go into a deeper dive into this new feature, and you can see what else is coming up for the second half of the year. Next slide. Perfect. So some of you also asked, we're fresh out of implementation. What are some ways to build expertise and training strategies? So I've listed some training goals here and educate and supporting materials. So just remember, training doesn't have to be overwhelming. Break it into small practical pieces, make it collaborative, and you can build real expertise across your team. So when staff feel confident using Summon, they're definitely more likely to recommend it, and that is how you grow usage and impact. So some training goals to keep in mind, understanding Summon's interface and search logic, learning to use the filters, facets, and advanced search, practicing using Summon's dynamic features like building and embedding carousel widgets, and gaining confidence in troubleshooting and patron support. Once you've outlined your key goals, and feel free to use these at your institution, you're ready to outline what materials you might need or to create to train your teams. So quick reference guides, either print or digital, are really great. Video tutorials, the FAQ sheets with common patron questions are all excellent supporting materials to train up your team. And of course, access to Ex Libris Knowledge Center and Ex Libris resources. So I've put those there. That's the pictures you're seeing. But next slide, I'll actually show some tried and true ways that you can train up your staff just to familiarize them with Summon. So you can put together hands-on workshops, micro learning modules, peer-led demos, scenario-based training. All of these are great little, interactive sessions. They could be short, staff-led, and it's really important to kind of getting that hands-on training because it's easy to look at a knowledge article and to understand something in your mind, but to actually do it is a bit different. So these are all ideas you can employ at your library. And then next slide, please. Some additional things to keep in mind, start to build a shared knowledge hub. So using a shared drive, this is where you want to have all of your summon training, internal guides, internal user guides linked there so that everyone can have access to it and everyone knows where it is. And also encourage ongoing learning. So monthly summon tips for emails, even sending it to your colleagues at the library. You can offer like certificates for completing training milestones. And I know we had a question specifically on cross training. So with this, you can pair staff from different departments. So like reference, circulation, pair them together to explore how Summon supports their unique workflows and have them kind of discuss that. So those are some nice training tips as you are getting started with Summon. And next slide. So now that we've covered training up your staff, a natural next step is to think about the best ways to market Summon to patrons. So some of you had questions again about public libraries. So I kind of parsed this marketing part into two. So first we'll focus at marketing strategies for higher ed institutions. So you can remember it's leverage Summon not as a discovery tool, not only as a discovery tool, but also a marketing asset to better connect with your academic community. So it's effective and powerful, but only effective if people know how to use it. And faculty and students, as we know, are often overwhelmed by the number of tools we provide. So you can do email campaigns, discover smarter research with Summon, highlight Summon's benefits, a short video, walkthrough, GIF, whatever it may be. You could also embed Summon information in student orientation materials. Excellent when students are first coming to college and learning about everything that the school provides, or hosting workshops and webinars. That's another great way for people to drop in and see, okay, what's this about? I've also included some key messages on the side. So if you're marketing Summon to faculty, you can utilize these messages. And similarly for students, that's what really rings true to students. So those are some of the ideas for marketing Summon with impact at a higher ed institution. So now let's pivot to the next slide and talk about public libraries. So obviously public libraries are a bit different. For public institution, Summon is the search engine for your entire library, right? Whether patrons are looking for their next great read, researching family history, helping children with their homework, Summon really makes it easy to have them find what they need quickly and reliably. But patrons won't use what they can't see. That's why we need to, market to them, right? So some ideas, embedding Summon in your homepage banner, social media posts. So community members, if they follow your social media, they can see and learn about it. And then in library displays, so QR codes, we live in a digital world. So QR codes linking to digital carousels, posters with Summon tips, and even newsletters. So if they read, your monthly newsletter that goes out, you can, embed Summon there. So some key messages for library patrons, I've listed them there. And also, yes, use of the carousel widget, embed themed carousels on your homepage to promote Summon. And that's really it. If you have any ideas or things that have worked well for your library in terms of marketing Summon, feel free to drop them in the chat. I know your other member libraries would appreciate it. And yeah, that's the end of my portion, I'm pretty sure, right, Devin?
Yeah, thank you so much, Taylor. I
Perfect.
just want to share quickly where you can find info about summon codes on the NC Live website. So we have all of the summon codes for our NC Live searches, resources. We also have the summon search boxes, And what that does is it pulls all of the NC Live collection into one search. It's not integrated with your catalog. You need to migrate to Summon to have both your catalog and the NC Live resources in one search. But that is a nice entry point for libraries that don't have the full Summon integration to use this tool in their own way. It also has instructions about adding those search boxes to your library's website. So I'm just going to show real quick here. There we go. Okay. So if I go to For Librarians and then I go to Discovery Tools, this is where you can see our summon codes, also Alma Primo and WorldShare as well. You can see if you click on summon search boxes, that'll take you to all of these, which are downloadable text files. And you can also make your own if you'd like. But that's just a nice way to pull in different content types from the NC Live collection. And then in terms of Summon, if you go under Services and then Summon Implementation, this provides you with past webinars. We will link to this one and the one that we did last fall. But these provide some basics that Taylor's led in the past, Summon usage statistics, managing your NC Live resources. Claire Leverett, our executive director, has also led these webinars before. But if you want a refresher, there's also the FAQ document section here. So just wanted to share a little bit of that so that you know where to go later. Any questions? I know we have a couple minutes left. Feel free to share them in the chat or unmute yourself. I can also include Taylor and Anna's contact info in the follow-up email so that if you want to reach out to them directly, feel free to do that. Just some ways to connect with NC Live after this webinar. So if you want information on future training opportunities, I highly recommend clicking on that listservs link. Our training newsletter goes out at the beginning of every month, as well as our marketing newsletter. And then if you have any questions about Summon or NC Live resources, or you see a funny error message, always know that you can email help@nclive.org or call us. We provide help desk support Monday through Friday. All right. And if there are no questions, we can wrap things up. Thank you so much, Taylor and Anna, for sharing your expertise. I'm really excited about that carousel feature and using the best bets to its full advantage. And I really agree with Anna mentioning that it is a mighty beast. And like Taylor said, it really works best when you kind of know and your staff know how to use it and really take full advantage. So thank you both so much. All right, everybody.